Hello Year 9, Mr. Godman here, and in this video I'm going to help you do the next part of your inquiry on was treatment and prevention different in the Renaissance. I hope you've got your workbook ready. So this is where we're at the moment. We're doing the last little part of inquiry 2, and that means in this lesson we're going to focus on medics and medical care. Now you're going to have your workbook handy to use, and you might have to pause the video a little bit along the way. First up, you need to find your knowledge organiser, and you need to tick off or highlight these key terms which are going to come up in today's lesson. So we're going to tick off all of the medics on your knowledge organiser. Pause the video now and do that, and then when you're ready, hit play again. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to compare Renaissance healers with medieval ones, and it's been a while since we looked at those medieval healers in class, so we need to start by recapping that knowledge. You're going to do this by taking a short quiz in task 2.11. All you need to do is read those statements, and you're going to say whether you think they're true or false. Now we're going to check these together in a moment, so don't panic too much if you are not 100% sure, but you're going to need to pause the video now and have a go, and when you're done, hit play and we'll check them. Okay, so we're about to check them now. You can mark your own work. So medieval physicians, first of all, yes, they charged a high fee. Yes, most of their learning came from books rather than practical training, and they almost never observed their patients in person. They did it from a distance. Now let's look at medieval women. Yes, they mixed herbal remedies, and sometimes they were surgeons, because you didn't need a license to be a surgeon in the medieval period. And yes, they used books called herbals that were full of traditional herbal remedies, which were often handed down from generation to generation. And finally then, medieval hospitals. Well, most did not let in infectious people. A few did, but they were rare. They were, however, very hygienic. They were very clean. And that's partly because, yes, they were staffed by nuns, and nuns believed that it was important to maintain hygiene and cleanliness as part of your duty to God. How did you do on that quiz? Make sure you correct any answers that you got wrong. Okay, so first we're going to look at similarity and difference. We're going to compare Renaissance healers with medieval healers, and we're going to look for similarities, things which were the same, and differences, things which were different. So you're going to find the information you need in information box 2.10 in your workbook. I want you to find that now, and I want you just to read about Renaissance physicians. When you've read that, you can hit play again. So the first thing I'm looking for here is something which was the same about a Renaissance physician as it was with a medieval physician. And one similarity that I found is that Renaissance physicians also trained at university and did a lot of learning from books, just like medieval ones. So I'm putting that in the similarity side of my table. But I also noticed a big difference too. Renaissance physicians took a much more scientific approach, observing their patients and trying out treatments. And I think that's something that Thomas Sydenham encouraged them to do. So I'm putting that in the differences side of my table. So you're ready now to complete this task 2.11. Now you'll need to read about the other healers, and you need to find similarities and differences. Now, I think you should be looking for at least 2 or 3 similarities and differences for all of those types of healers and medical care. It might be a good idea to look back in your medieval workbook 3.11 and 3.15 just to help you if you've forgotten what medieval care was like. And that's good revision for you too. When you're done on this task, then you can hit play again, but first you need to pause and do that section of the lesson. So, as you've seen, there were some differences between Renaissance and medieval healers. So some things clearly did change in the Renaissance. And now we're going to think about why they changed. So we're explaining change. And we're going to work on this part of the task. And here's what we're going to do. I want you to think about what you read so far. And I want you to look very closely for how different factors worked to change medical care. Now, these are the factors that I want you to look for. Printing. You're going to look for how royal power changed medical care. Now, in this case, I mean you're going to look for how decisions taken by the monarch, that's the king or queen, impacted on medical care. And in this case, we're particularly looking at Henry VIII. I want you to look at how technology changed medical care, and by this I mean new inventions or tools or equipment. And our last factor, I want you to look for individuals like Sydenham and how that had an impact on medical care. So, you're now ready for the task. You're going to go back to that same text in 2.10, and I want you to find how these 4 factors led to a change in treatment or healers. So let's do a model before you have a go at it. Let's imagine that I was looking for the factor religion. So I'm going to read the text carefully and I'm going to find where did religion help to change medical care. And then when I found it, I'm going to write a short sentence about it. I'm going to start by describing the factor. The church could not stop people dissecting anymore. So this led to a change. And the change was more doctors had a chance to dissect as part of their training. Now you're going to look for the other 4 factors. If you know what you're doing, then you might want to pause the video now before I put up a couple of clues just to give you a little bit more support. So if you're not sure what you're doing yet, you might want to leave the video running. So if you're stuck, here is your clue. I'm going to highlight the areas of the text where you're going to find those 4 factors. Here they are. So you might want to keep the video handy while you're working, just to remind you where to look. When you've done this, you've completed the lesson. Well done, Year 9. I look forward to teaching you again soon.